Well, hello, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, February the 15th, 2023. Wednesday, February 15th. This will be kind of short because I'm still with this whole sinus thing and now it's turned into a cough. So, my goodness. First and foremost, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Look, daily recap comes out even though she's daily recap lady comes out even though she's not feeling 100%. But guess what? How many of us, when we're not feeling well, we're cozied up on the couch just watching our soap because it's what we normally do. So that's what I still normally do, sick or not, watch my soap. And I wanted to come out and just do a quick recap. Diane moved all the way in. We go from bringing a few things to, hey, you got some keys here, and move all the way in. Kyle wasn't too happy with it, but he just decided wasn't worth it for him to fight it, you know. And that's them because Summer's mad at him and he's worried about fixing things with Summer. Speaking of Summer, we're going to come back to her because poor girl went through it today. And then all she had to do was come home to find out Diane has now moved in. Wowzers. Okay. So we have Ashley. Excuse me. Remember, she left out of here yesterday mad, showed up at Tucker's house, place, room. And, he's still coy, I know you care for me and blah, blah, blah. She goes, don't read too much of this into it. She's mad at Jack. And he goes, well, you know what happened last time you were mad at Jack? She goes, it's not going to happen again, Tucker. My eyes are wide open now, right? So he's still saying, there's a smart spark, whether you're mad at me or not. So Ashley scoots on over, takes his face, plants a good one on his lips, sits back and says, nope, no passion, it's gone. And he just looked at her like, wait, what? Right? But really, Ashley's just messing with him because Tucker gets under her skin. He really does. But she's playing it cool. And he decides to come clean with Ashley, his version of clean, everybody. See, now that the story is getting out there that he's in so much debt and he's pretty much broke, he's running with it. But he's telling Ashley that's the truth. He just wasn't paying attention to his company and he was selling off some, trying to put band-aids and this, that, and the other. So she said, in other words, you were lying to me when you said you wanted to build a company for me. And he goes, no, I wasn't lying. She goes, oh, I see. The end game was for me to invest my own money in it. He said, no, Ashley, I will move heaven and earth for you. If I had to, I would sell off every bit of McCall Limited, let it all go. If you agreed to, let me start a company with you and for you, I give it all up happily. And so she's kind of looking at him like, okay, what's your angle here? She's really trying to figure out what's this man's angle, because he, according to himself, is bearing his soul to Ashley. And excuse me, Ashley's trying to figure it out. Like, is he for real? Because she goes, this is not the Tucker McCall I know. And he goes, what are you talking about? The Tucker McCall I know, yeah, you might be in a situation, but that's when you're your most devious. That's when you're your most cunning, when your back is up against the wall, right? Nobody gets anything over on you. And he goes, you almost sound like that, you like that Tucker. And she goes, yeah, some of the traits in him, yeah, yeah. Because he's a fighter. And I'm not hearing any fight in you. And I'm wondering why, right? And he goes, that time in the ashram taught me this, that, and the other. I'm thinking, okay, and now I know he's lying. Time in no ashram didn't teach him nothing, right? So that was Tucker. Then we have Heather. I kind of admire Heather. She flew all the way across the world to come and tell Daniel she's moved on. She fell in love with somebody else. Now I'm thinking, wait a minute, Daniel must not have given the true timeline because he's only been back in town, what, 4 months? Yeah. And was Heather gone a year before that? No, because Phyllis came to visit him in the summer and Heather was there. So she met someone and fell in love with them in a matter of what, 4 or 5 months? That's awfully fast, Heather, right? And so she really said she admired, she goes, I haven't seen this kind of spark in you in years. I am genuinely happy for you, Daniel. Genuinely. But as far as the getting back what we had, she goes, I'd given up on that. And that's what she told him. And I moved on. And I suggest you move on too. And he's looking and he's like, like, what? And he takes his hand because he had his hand on her hand on her lap, and he slides his hand out, but he profusely apologized for Phyllis showing up. And Heather's like, oh no, your mother was fine. It was actually kind of cute. She loves you, and it showed. She did nothing but dote on you. And she goes, and I could see she was telling the truth. So Daniel kind of looked like, okay, my mom didn't go blow up my spot, right? Even though nobody would want their mother to jump in and do that. But, Heather lets him know that didn't bother her in the least, right? So then what's interesting to me, though, he asked, where's Lucy? And Heather said, I thought this conversation was best alone, for us to have this conversation alone. And Daniel was like, oh, you're probably right. And I'm thinking, he goes, you probably didn't want to pull her out of school. And I'm saying, now, wait a minute. Hold up. You moved to Spain with my child. If you didn't know anybody there. Now, if you leave in the country coming to Genoa City, you better be bringing my child with you. I know you didn't leave her with this new man that you fell in love with overnight. See, she better be visiting my dad and Christine. See, I'll see if I can bring her by later. Because no, that don't fly. You don't leave the country and leave my child in the hands of people I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to deal with the custody. Because from the sounds of it, Daniel and Heather never got married, right? Daniel is Daisy and not Daniel. Lucy is Daisy and Daniel's child. Heather just raised her with Daniel. So we're gonna see. Right now, is he just gonna let her stay with her her stepmom or fill-in mom for a while, and then when I get myself straight, I'm gonna take my child? I mean, what's the deal with that? I don't know. I know if Phyllis has anything to say with it, she's gonna say, okay, you and Heather aren't working out. You're not getting back together again, but bring your child home. Your child has family here in Genoa City. Your child has grandparents here in Genoa City and a father. Okay. She could go visit Heather on vacation. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Now let's talk about Summer. Phyllis invites Summer over to, let's see, here's another picture. Who's this picture of? Oh, yeah. Phyllis, we'll get to this picture in just a minute. Phyllis invites Summer to society and gives her the biggest hug. And Summer's like, Mom, where'd this hug come from, right? Like, my mom is happy to see me and everything. And she goes, the champagne? What we having champagne for? And so Phyllis sits down. They both sit down, and Phyllis says, champagne is for the brilliant idea that you're going to come up with to convince your brother not to be mad at me and pretty much not to fire me. And Summer looked at her. She goes, how would you expect me to do that? Daniel's grown. Daniel makes up his own mind. And Phyllis goes, but you could talk to him. And she goes, Mom, I talked to you. And I told you not to do this. I told you it was a bad idea, and Daniel would not take it well. I stand by what I did. I went on maternal instinct, and that's what I did. I fight. I will just crawl on through fire for my kids, for you and your brother. So then Summer's like, well, then, you're going to have to fix it. And Phyllis is like, what happened to you? What happened to us? You used to agree with everything. You would be, you were always on my side. And so Summer looked at her, and so Summer reaches for the champagne to pour herself a glass. Phyllis snatches that champagne bottle out of the ice bin and says, what are you doing? Summer says, I'm getting ready to pour me some champagne. She goes, champagne was for a brilliant idea that you're refusing to do. This is my champagne, and you ain't having none of it. And Summer's like, really, really, Mom? Oh my God, really? And so Phyllis makes it all about Phyllis. I'm not the bad guy. I did nothing wrong. You all take things the wrong way. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I was Team Phyllis. But as of the last 6 months, everybody, I'm not Team Phyllis anymore. She's getting on my last nerve. She does what people tell her not to do, that it'll backfire. And then she says she's not the villain. When she is the villain, right? Or it is her fault, but she never, ever takes responsibility. So she goes storming out of society. She goes to the Grand Phoenix to have a drink. And Jack comes in. Now, Jack's coming in after being pissed off, telling Kyle off. Kyle told him, I'm sorry, and he's like, Jack is ringing him about the deal that Kyle was doing with Victor. And Kyle's like, okay, I didn't think the whole thing through, but I didn't give in away any real company secrets. And Jack is like, you give Victor Newman an inch, he takes a mile. He takes a mile, and you still don't know what his end game is. So yeah, you did not think that through. And he goes, but Dad, just forgive. It's a mistake. I just made a mistake, right? And Jack was just like, no, this was a betrayal, and I need to get some air. So he runs out of there, right? Now, Diane, remember I said she came in with her suitcase moving in. Kyle looks over and he sees the suitcases. And he's like, what's going on here? And she goes, Jack asked me to move all the way in. And Kyle was like, oh, no. And so Diane looks at him. She goes, well, it's a good thing. We're happy. What do you feel about it? And he goes, I've already said what I feel about it. It just doesn't matter anymore. Things go wrong. You said you ain't leaving town, whatever. He's just like, whatever. Harrison would be happy waking up with you in the house, right? So Summer walks through the door. And she could look at Kyle's face. And she's like, what else happened? And Kyle looks at her and he goes, my mom has moved all the way in here. My mom and dad are now living together. Summer just takes her coat off, and Diane is looking at her like, what you got to say? In that, the funny thing is that undercover goading. Summer just takes her coat off, gives that look, and she got a little stank look on her face. She's looking at Diane, stank look on her face. And she turns to walk away, and Kyle says, Summer, say something. So Summer stops, and she looks at Diane, and she looks at Kyle, and she says, okay, and walks out. And Diane was like, oh, so she looked at Kyle like, well, what's that supposed to mean, Oh. Well, how, I do want to make things right with Summer, what do you think I should do? And Kyle looked at his mother and he goes, you know what? You figure it out. He said, because right now, I have to figure out how I'm going to smooth things over with my wife. So he gets up and he leaves Diana. She's sitting there like, whatever. I'm the lady of this house. So now we're back to Jack. Now he's in society. I mean, not society, Grand Phoenix. Phyllis is drinking, and she's talking about, I am distancing myself from my kids. You try to do stuff for them, and they don't appreciate you, and they turn on you. And Jack's like, boy, do I understand that. And she looks at him like, wait, what? So he orders his drink and he sits down. He goes, yeah, I someone I trust. She goes, what's wrong with you? And he says, someone that I trust, they let me down. They betrayed me. And no, I just understand. I can relate to what you're saying. And Phyllis goes, finally, Diane has shown her true colors. Finally, you see her for who she is. And Jack looks at her and he goes, what are you talking about? Jack says, I am not talking about Diane. And Phyllis is like, wait, what? She goes, I'm talking about Kyle. But of course, I don't even know why I'm talking to you in the first place. So he downs his drink, guns it down, and he gets up and he walks away. And Phyllis was like, how am I supposed to know? How was I supposed to know it was Kyle, right? And I'm like, oh my God, Phyllis. So Phyllis is sitting there, and I'm not going to be able to do this with the justice I want to do this. I'm going to try, but I'll probably start coughing everybody, but I'm going to try. All of a sudden, you hear this, you look like you could use a friend. And it's Jeremy Stark. I said, Jeremy Stark. February sweeps are finally going to get good more than halfway through the month. Well, halfway through the month, right? Stark is out. Stark is back. Phyllis is on the outs with everybody. Watch. Phyllis is going to be Phyllis and team up with him. And there's going to be Destruction City. But guess what, everybody? Remember, I said this when Stark got arrested. I said, if Jeremy Stark gets out of this frame, he was always working with the feds, okay, to bring down Diane. Diane has a much bigger role than she ever admitted. And I'm so happy because her and Jack comes in the door, and Diane is like, Summer's a little upset. Kyle, he saw the suitcases, so I may have tipped our hand. I wasn't going to lie to him, Jack. And he goes, well, shit, Kyle. And she goes, and then Summer, she wasn't enthused either. And so then they're talking about, look, we are happy. We're going to stay happy. The worst is behind us. Nothing can get in our way now. And they are kissing and hugging and just, okay, right? Oh, they won. They won. They didn't know. No, you ain't won. You guys are about to get checkmated. And now Jack has implicated himself in a crime. Not implicated himself. He committed the crime, right? And if Jeremy is working with the feds, they know he committed the crime. That's going to be so good. Because when the truth comes out about Diane, Jack is going to be so deflated. So deflated. And Kyle too. Kyle is still skeptical on her, but not skeptical enough to keep distance from her. No. He's got one eye on his mother. One, only one. But let her come up with another crime caper for them to do. He's all in. He's 100% in. Him and Jack, 100% in, right? So now, let's see what happens. Because Stark is not going to make it any kind of secret that he's back. Now, trust me, I bet he saw Jack and he didn't come up to Phyllis until Jack left. Because he wants the element of surprise. Yes, there is hope for the young and the restless yet. There is hope. And that hope is Jeremy Stark. So let's see what's going to happen finally. Because to me, that was the biggest waste of time bringing that man to Genoa City for nothing. Yeah, now it's for something. So let's see about that, everybody. All right, comment corner, comment corner. Got 2 comments, thank goodness, because I couldn't go through a whole bunch. Medora says, I agree Kane should come back and run Chancellor because Lily seems to be afraid to stand up to Jill. Yep. And Libby, Libby says, hello, young and the restless daily recap lady. Hope you're feeling better. I don't know, I'm feeling a little better than yesterday, but now it's down into a car. I don't know. Daily recap lady, feeling better, daily recap lady. Just dropped in to say hi. I'm catching up. Catching up first in several weeks. I know, Libby. I was wondering where are you? Where were you? I'm young and the restless because I was in the hospital, then back in rehab. Well, I'm happy you're better, Libby. Thank goodness I'm happy you're better. Looking forward to being in our little fan family soon. Excuse me. Really missed you all. We really missed you too, Lily. Libby, thinking of Lily. We really missed you too, Libby. And I'm telling you, Ditos has been a little bit MIA as well. So Ditos, where you at? Where you at, Ditos? Libby is back today. Libby Ditos was asking about you too. So anyway, everybody, that is the daily recap for the young and the restless. It's getting good. We actually might have a cliffhanger Friday this Friday on the young and the restless. So I'll be back to do another daily recap. Look, no matter how I feel, I'm going to be back doing a recap, y'all. See you then.